So this is going to be very exciting and engaging panel. So really appreciate for each one of you to get ready because this is about Haiti. And let's try to get all of the guests over here ready. Please, Benoit. And our dear ambassador, Ambassador Gandhi. How do you see it? Please. So we all know what's going on in Haiti right now. And we, as Haitian, it's really saddened all of us. We worry, we have families, we have friends, but at the same time, sitting all the way over here, thinking about what's going on. If not in Haiti, it's in Dominican Republic. So all of these are things that really push us to raise the question. Can we live in a board, regardless of where you're located, it can be in US, Canada, France, wherever you are. So this is the conversation that we're going to have today. Try to understand. At the end of the day, we have the responsibility to do something. And the question is how we channel that energy, how we channel that knowledge that we all have to find out how we make it happen. So to do that, we're going to start with an introduction first and just talk a little bit about us, let you know who we are. Let's start with Ambassador Gandhi.
Good afternoon. I say, uh, why we are so dispersed? Why going to talk, but no one is interested in what we are going to. And yeah, can you move forward? Right, Kenzi Thomas. Non. Puis c'est que, et du plateau central. Na ouais, ça. Grâce à ce c'est n'a pas de développement et développement principal là c'est et formation moi mon formation en banque comptabilité droit maîtrise en relations internationales. On rentré dans l'affaires étrangères en 1991. Ça fait déjà un bon petit temps. Fait plusieurs postes à l'extérieur actuellement, surtout en Amérique latine. Le passage en Amérique latine, dernier poste en Amérique latine, c'était Chili, mais qu'on autre conceptuel comme moderniste, consulat et ambassadeur. Pour un travailler avec la communauté, après, c'est que nous avons là, dans la communauté, nous avons 6 heures de temps, alors que dans l'autre communauté, c'est une raison que non seulement nous pauvres là, car nous pauvres ici, parce que nous pas fait business ensemble, et quitter ville, bon, Orlando, Atlanta, Atlanta que maintenant c'est un projet pilote que bien content on est au moins capable de dire Atlanta dollar et au moins en journée. Et actuellement et Washington comme ambassadeur à l'OEA et m'a continué à faire travail non? Et c'est un plaisir que là pour partager ensemble avec nous expérience pour nous garder ensemble avec nous et qui ça on est capable de dire que à 500%, 1000% que sans nous même ça se pourra côté que nous aller. chita ensemble. Et pour nous faire de manière capable de dire, structurée pour nous, mais côté nous, parce que le plus souvent que nous-mêmes, nous pas fait équilibre pour nous regarder, nous dans la diaspora, les filles, qu'on pensait que nous gagnons d'Haïtiens, est complètement erroné dans ce sens que comme c'est un coup nous dit, nous construit un caille, les filles nous pas fait base, les filles nous pas nous montrer pour nous mettre étage. Et de ça, là, n'a pas son petit moment de 45 minutes ensemble pour nous dégager ensemble, qui perspective pour de pour diaspora, topic que son topic qui est assez intéressant. Côté n'a pas parlé de technologie, n'a pas parlé de relation, n'a pas parlé de et ensemble avec comprendre ça na la
All right. Good afternoon. Got to do better than that. Just seems like you guys had a movie. Okay, good afternoon. Anyways, my name is Eddie Benoit. As you see, I pronounced my name correctly. Born and partially raised in Brooklyn, New York. My parents were first generation immigrants into New York in the mid to late 50s. And they came here very young with their parents. And so I'm the only child. My parents are deceased. And I actually had an opportunity being raised by my parents and my grandparents where they focused on education. So growing up in New York, I had to learn how to speak all three languages, English, French, and Creole. That was my household in Brooklyn, New York in the 70s. And they were relentless about that. So we do Creole, and when guests came over, we spoke French. So um, that my parents wanted to make sure that I was fully immersed in the culture, the Haitian culture. And so, and first couple of years of high school to Haiti. So I am a one of the disciples of Saint Louis, my fellow, Saint Louisien. Gen lot Saint Louisien nan la, bagen lot Saint Louisien nan la. Kwa sorel? Right. All right. And then after the fall, baby Doc, as you know, there's a lot of insecurity. Parents sent me back to the U.S. where I finished high school, and I received an academic scholarship to go to the University of Florida. From the University of Florida, I studied undergrad building construction, which is construction today, civil engineering, and a minor in finance. I went on to get my master's in commercial real estate finance and building construction management. Moved here. It's been about 32 years since I've been living here in Atlanta. But today I have a company called the Benoit Group, which is a vertically integrated company. I bought my partners out about 15 years ago and created the company. We're headquartered here in Atlanta, but we're active in about 9 states, southeast to the Midwest. And when I say we're vertically integrated, is that we develop, own, and manage our own portfolio of large multifamily apartments throughout this our geographic footprint. And so either it's single asset developments or we're doing mixed use developments that include commercial retail and other uses within our developments. The company has four companies within the umbrella company of the Benoit Group. We have the development company, the property management company, our construction management company, and advisory. So we've been very fortunate over the past 14 plus years to continue to grow. We're close to about $1 billion in assets that we own under our management and control, and continue to expand our geographic footprint. So I'm honored to be here today to share a little conversation about our dear Haiti Chérie. And so hopefully this will be as engaging as you hope for it to be.
Excellent. Merci, Eddie. So my name is Jacques Jean, originally from Pilat and Wanament. Pilat because of my dad, Wanament because of my mother. Moi, quitté Haïti, ça fait 35 ans. Puis, à l'école, pas vrai. Et enfin, pas commencé l'école, moi, pas vrai ici. Je quitté Haïti, je en Europe. Je en Europe, et puis, euh, t'es Suisse. De Suisse, je m'entré au Mexico, c'est là, je fini études. Je fais licence en économie. Pendant que je fais licence en économie, et puis je traversé États-Unis. Je fais maîtrise dans Carnegie Mellon University. Et puis de Carnegie Mellon University, et puis je commencé à travailler avec une série de boîtes. Je commencé carrément avec McKinsey. Et puis de McKinsey, je traversé avec Honeywell. Et puis je fait presque 10 ans avec Honeywell. Je travaille pour eux, je suis responsable factory pour eux en Amérique latine. Et puis je devenu chef IT pour eux en Europe, je suis basé en France. Et puis je devenu chef IT pour eux encore en Asie, je suis basé à Singapour. Et puis, yo rapatrié moi, yo retourné pas ici. Et puis, me devine responsable ça crée les acquisitions des marchés ou bien euh, IT Merger Acquisitions and Divestitures. Et puis, l'homme fini, me devine quitter Honeywell, travaille pour une boîte anglaise, côté que me devine responsable partie technologie pour eux dans une business unit. Fait 5 ans avec compagnie ça, qui est les N26. Et puis, je travaille avec une boîte française qui est les Schneider Electric. Je fais presque 10 ans avec Schneider Electric. Côté que je travaille pour eux, ouvert une série de call center, une série de l'autre bagaille, ouvert une série de marchés pour eux Mexico. Parce que Mexico, c'est la caille moins tout. Et puis, voilà, ça fait 7 ans depuis que je quitter Schneider et puis commencer compagnie par moi. Compagnie par moi, les Tech Fights. In Tech Fights, we are an IT strategy consultant firm. Nous basés Dallas, Texas. Et Texas, c'est là, carrément, c'est là, senti à l'aise, bon, parce que besoin de monde dans le pour être capable de changer l'État Texas là tout. Donc, ça nous fait dans Tech Fights. Nous travaillons avec une série de compagnies, mid-size ou large company. We do work with not-for-profit organizations, university, but large one, and as well as with government. Right now, we have a new service that we're providing called Connected Government. Connected Government is a service that would be very, very beneficial for Haiti. And I'm talking to quite a few folks as well to find out what we can do. But we will be soon working with some African countries, and as well as we're looking at to work with Belize as well to do some work for them at the government level to work in the digital transformation. So again, I'm so pleased to be here with you, excited to have that conversations because I think le n'a parlé de Haïti, nous tous doit trembler et nous tous doit rire. Nous tous doit sentir un bagage, donc souhaiter que conversation ça que nous allons gagner en Konya, sont conversation qui juste et qui permettent que nous tous capables de rentrer et puis faire conversation. So, let's talk.
All right.
Le plus souvent, nous toujours parler de sacré transparency. What is it? Benoit, help me. Yeah.
Oh, so what was I? As it relates to redevelopment for the country of Haiti, transparency is very critical. But before we talk about transparency, in order to get transparency, there, like to me, there are three things that are, when I call them the three S for a country like Haiti, talking about transparency. The three S's are number one, structure, stability, and security. If we're not able to overcome those three immediately, then transparency cannot achieve that. And when I talk about structure, that there needs to be a new government structure in place that the people have elected, that they embrace, and that actually has an agenda that will actually embrace growth, also throughout the world as it relates to the next phase, the next chapter for our country in Haiti. The stability side from an economic standpoint is very important because there are a lot of nations that are living somewhat in Haiti, but also overseas because of the fact that they have a lot of investment in Haiti. And because of the insecurity, they're pretty much having to live in two different places, and that is their livelihood is all invested there. Some of their families are still there, and some are figuring out how can they divest themselves from Haiti in order to protect what they have, because it's very unsure as to what the future will be in the country. But we also have those of us who are here in this room that are part of the diaspora and in other places who are very apprehensive and reluctant to it because of the fact that there's no as to whether or not there will be a preservation of that investment and or a return of that investment. So stability is key, both those who are already vested in Haiti and for those who are looking to engage and invest in the country. Last, security. Of course, that's been pretty much the Achilles heel of the country from as far as public safety is concerned. We have to reform the police system, and we have to create some form of militia from a not Tonton Macoute guys. We're talking about just real military presence that can restore order in the country and provide some form of defense against any threat. The these three things are very important in order for us to deal with transparency because many of us who are looking to engage in Haiti to do business, to bring outside investment from in partnership with local Haitians, okay, totally support, won't step foot or make the first step without those three elements being in place. They're not going to do it. And why should they? And I'm sure most of you, including myself here, won't do the same if you don't have those three elements in place. And transparency has been an issue because many people feel as though it's not an even playing field. If you don't know the right person or you're not ready to play, then there's no opportunity for you to actually bring your subject matter expertise into the country or bring your private equity relationships into the country, bring your partners into the country. So those are the things we have to overcome initially to address transparency.
Thank you, Ed. Ambassador Benoit, Ambassador Gandhi.
Man, he
En
was
question, I try not to promote
hey,
you.
man,
So,
DC.
from a policy and politics perspective, when you're thinking about transparency, how does that is being seen by the outside world, specifically when we're talking about Haiti, because Haiti tend to be that what's going on there? What is that transparency look for you in your world?
Thank you for this important question that, AD is talking about it because just to the click, and when I came into Atlanta as a consul general, and I was heard that The other Haitian are making good thing. And I worked up, 2, 3 letters in Haiti and just to engage Haitian to Haitian, never responded. After 8 months, a good friend of us and put us together. And since then, because I said already, we have to break this vicious circle. Uh, you have an empire, you are building an empire, and at the same time, and everywhere we go, and we say we Haitian, and that's just the question now is where you come originally, and you have to say that my parents is Haitian, and the problem comes to you, and what Haitian, or they say that I have my church to say, then I say we have to break the cycle. We can't let this for this heritage. But talking about transparency and the process of procurement, and now I, I left the Shakespeare and good language at those, or language Creole. Je crois que transparence dans processus yo, dans acquisition, l'essentiel, l'essentiel pour si n'a pas le développement durable et pour nous-mêmes trois ici, partenaires internationaux. Et premièrement, nous devons renforcer le cadre institutionnel pour encourager bonne pratique et qu'on nous fait responsable. Et también faut nous capables, pour nous légiférer, encourager et qui demande de transparence, qui demande de transparence, et puis assurer que politique acquisition yo, et y en harmonie avec et meilleures pratiques que vous fait dans l'international. Ça c'est une. Deuxièmement, l'important pour encourager une politique transparence à travers initiative développement capacité. Ça aurait les building capacity. Et formation fonctionnaire public avec emploi, processus acquisition. Faut gagner éthique, faut intègre, faut respecter standard. Et tant qu'on la révolution technologique, pour nous implémenter le système digital pour nous capables, pour nous suivre activité acquisition. Et puis, faut encourager la participation communautaire, faut encourager les communautés et les projets bien faits. Et ça prend une responsabilité. Et partenaires internationaux avec nous-mêmes dans la diaspora, nous avons un rôle clé pour nous soutenir force à eux, ça que nous sommes dit là, 2 points ça. Et à travers collaboration avec partage connaissances, nous avons implémenté meilleures pratiques pour renforcer le processus d'acquisition. Les noirs transparents, nous avons capables de valeurs fondamentales. Nous, comme pilier, comme modèle, et dans le processus d'acquisition, nous adoptons la transparence comme valeur fondamentale, nous pas seulement assurer une utilisation et plus efficace dans les ressources, non seulement nous pas assurer l'appui pour nous assurer l'appui pour nous assurer dans les ressources, mais nous bâtir confiance dans l'institution. Parce que si nous n'avons pas confiance dans l'institution, nous ne pouvons pas aller de côté. Et c'est la transparence. C'est essentiel pour le progrès. Si nous n'avons pas de transparence, pas une pièce côté, nous ne pouvons pas aller. Si nous, tout qui chita là, nous pas transparents, nous-mêmes, pas de côté, nous pas aller. C'est comme ça que moi, fonctionnaires publics avec la communauté, on peut mettre ensemble et cadre légal, légiférer sur ça, c'est très important pour être capable.
Thank you. Thank you. So you talk about technology, and from a technology perspective, obviously this is an area that we see the impact of what technology specifically has done here in US and around the world, specifically in the area of education. If we look at YouTube right now, YouTube, you know, education system in the world because people enjoy it and information, and then after that, next thing you know, the kids that living in certain area now they can quickly learn how to code. They get a lot of looking at the digital transformation framework as far as how it is and how it should be. Unfortunately, many countries are not adopting those type of technology in order for them to be able to create or provide that transparency that's required. Because when you look at our community that is specifically here outside of US, you are enjoying certain transparency because the reason why is because you have the capability to access, you have access capability, you have also accountability, right? Because ability for you to go and then order something online and then track that and then knowing that person is coming back to deliver what was expected out of that person, this is huge. But when we think about what's going on in Haiti, it's not only Haiti, but we're talking about Haiti right now. It's saddened because we know the kids that are in Haiti, they are learning a lot of technology right now, some of them. And the question is, how should we, as diaspora, partner with those folks and then to enable them to launch specific platform that can solve problem that Haiti is facing right now. And I think this is the area that we need to really think about because some of them, they do not have the finance to just go in and launch a specific platform. And now we have AI capability that they can use, right, to launch specific stuff. But at the same time, they don't have the capability, they don't have the money, they don't have the financing. So how do we extend that hand to really support them? And there's a lot of companies in Haiti that are doing tech. I've met quite a few of them here and I'm excited about what they're going on and what they are doing. So from a technology perspective, Eddie, where do you see transparency can uh, have an impact?
Um, First of all, I'd like to actually ask the audience a question. How many of you here are meeting Ambassador Gandy for the first time? Give me a show of hands. Don't be shy. Okay, more than half of the room. And so the reason why I asked that question is because this is the person who represents the country, not only from a United States standpoint, but from a world standpoint, the United Nations. He is there to represent us and talk on our behalf and address the issues that are plaguing our country. Sou pa kon moun ki la ki charge, ki gen responsabilite pou reprezenter peyi nou, pou reprezenter problem ke nou gen yo. Ki jan ap fè konen ki sa, ki jan pou nou avanse, mesaj ke nou gen. Pou moun ki bon avec une onde qui sur radio en Haïti, la parler ça le parler tout le monde c'est journaliste. OK? Tout le monde c'est journaliste. All right? Mes amis, 2024, presque 2025. Pour ça. Faut nous changer. So I told you to have a treat because it'll be Creole and some English for those here, our guests who don't understand Creole. Just of what we're saying. To me, to piggyback off of what he's saying is that we need information to communicate. And that starts with our consulates throughout the world, where there's some uniformity and consistency from a messaging standpoint, where we know we can go to get the information. Right now, there's dysfunction between the different consulates. because you do have people who are in these positions that are assigned, all right, has nothing to do with their proficiency or having any pedigree like Andy does to release the international government affairs and diplomacy. And they're just there from one pot. All right? Yep. Just to administer the will of the administration that's in place. And so have to have a point of reference. And where it should start again is for the consulate that are there from a regional standpoint as it relates to the United States, but also in certain key countries where Haiti we have alliances. So we can actually get the information and stay connected from a technology standpoint and not necessarily um, be misinformed by social media. All right. We don't know what's half true or what's half lie as far as the information, but also there's a lot of other information as far as what's going on relative to our country, our impact, our issues, whether it's here in DC on the Hill or whether it's in other foreign countries that we're totally unaware of. So the transparency also has to start in-house as far as us getting on the same page, getting our act together.
Thank you. Ambassador Gandhi, a question. When you think about what's going on right now in Haiti with specifically just journalistes, yo sorti également, yo reporté pour ça, et puis lors à des systèmes judiciaires en Haïti, pas de loi qui protège une série de monde contre de diffamation que monsieur ça a fait. Et il prend sous information n'importe côté où vous voulez, et puis regardez tout bagaille ça, et tout partout. So, for someone like you who's really heavily embedded in politics and policy, how should what's going on in Haiti to really address specifically that area?
I think for this insightful question, I, I'm looking at an what nothing see that is happening, and I left the politician talking about it because they have a fine diplomacy and politics. Uh, but what I would say, we came back and we have when you look at, as I always say, we are in a revolution. And when you look at the world, we are in a revolution called the technology. And Haiti, we lost the revolution, we lost uh, it's, the technique, all those things that happen in the world. And when you go back into it, is normal. Now, how to take benefit of that? And I think that through the here, nous tellement, écoute, pendant qu'on parle là, le monde entier capable de ça qu'on a dit. Qui ça pour nous faire en Haïti, pour nous capable de vivre, et avec capable de bénéficier de bail pour nous changer. Ça, c'est diable. Pour nous, moins comme pas chaque année, nous connaissons comme si on programme. Tout à fait. Voilà. Ça, ouais. Déjà, le commerce. Ouais. The technology gives us that we can connect business everywhere. Everywhere. and we can connect with Haitian. How we can use the technology to transform our community in Haiti? That's my question that I have. Qui sont capables de faire capable de transform? Because when you look at the country, if we go to the pyramid of the Abraham pyramid, all of those things we are talking now, we are not into it. We even have the basis. But the only thing that we can work into it through the basis, when you look at the pyramid, what they call it, the physiological needs, we have only two. We have the air and we have the reproduction that we champion in reproduction. Not petit, not petit, not petit. But we're getting shelter, we're getting food, no, we have nothing. So the pyramid that we can work into it is a food technology that is accessible for everybody. Now, how we can change the narrative instead of letting those people talking about, because, it's a mentality that, and everyone wants to be an influencer. But now we're not the diaspora. Why we send after we left Arizona, they say, hey, let's put together different types of specialties knowledge to say, hey, we are going to do a webinar every month and some and education and healthcare and whatever it is. That's the way that I push, the technological way and the transparency. And how we can change the narrative, change the paradigm, and having, using the technology framework and to push forward our country. Thank
Excellent. Let's move on to something related to PPP, public-private partnership. How can we leverage on that tools to really reshaping what's going on in Haiti right now? Ambassador.
I enjoy this panel because it is, is in this panel with me because when talking about the PPP, and it is humble. When I say it's humble, even given numbers that is sitting onto it. And after I met, I say, Haiti, you have to invest in Haitian. And he goes there and he wants to do a public-private partnership. And as he said, when we goes there and and sometimes there about the stigma too. I remember when I came to Haiti, I went to the Prime Minister office. I don't know if you remember. Because in Haiti, they don't think that black can have money. They don't think that. I remember that. And I sit down in the room, four guys, one white and three black guys that have more money than all of the Haitian family into Haiti. And one guy came and said that, I heard that, what did they go? And I've heard Joe says that, he and Atlanta is a billionaire family, Haiti and others. This mayor of 7 billion budget wasn't the cheap with me. And another guy, they don't understand. Now, it not only the private sector, the government and the private sector, because the private sector in Haiti, I don't want to go into politics, and hopefully that the third and the fourth generation, they are changing their mind. So this is the way to go. But and the way to go, we have to specify, we have to specialize in which we are going to invest. As I said, now, when we go over the pyramid, Haiti, we are on the bottom. We can't build a house without the base. We can't build a house without the base. So we have to figure out under the PPP regarding shelter, education, infrastructure, even infrastructure, water, how we end up together as a diaspora with the private sector partners to, right, having, the public part. And légiférer pour nous faire loi sur ça. Till now, in Haiti, c'est quelque chose. We started in 2012 having one shop, One problem is that, we don't want to work in Haiti. We don't want, c'est-à-dire, nous pas voulons marcher, nous voulons pour nous sortir là, pour nous tomber là. And this is our mindset. C'est-à-dire, quand on travaille, ils veulent comme, on prend ça, pour le cartouche de demain. C'est-à-dire, sometimes you came with a big project. For instance, the 2020 project to transform Cape Haitian into Miami, like Miami Beach. That area as a developer spend his money and doing it. And if you see that, I told him, just give a sneak peek of that. He said, no, I'm not. If you see this project, him by himself, he was ready to build 3 hotels for the first phase going on and transform Cape Haitian and build an economy billions of dollars in just 7.5 kilometers with a marathon block. So what it is in my scenario regarding the PPP, and the PPP has to be specialized in PPP coming into the basics. We have to get back into the basics and to the pyramid and to say that, hey, see, we are in the basics now, and how you in technology and on the basis we can cooperate together and make it happen for the country better.
Perfect. We wanted out of time. Thank you. We wanted out of time, but I'd like to get Eddie's input on that. Eddie, PPP, it's all that you do, man. What's going on there?
Yes, partenariat public, ça est très essentiel pour Haïti, pour nous changer Haïti, pour nous reconstruire le pays économiquement. These public-private partnerships is what rebuilds our nation here in the U.S. Our company has focused primarily on public-private partnerships. You can go, you can look at our website, thebenoitgroup.com, and see what we've been doing, what I've been doing throughout my career, even before we created the Benoit Group. And the things that I talk about on YouTube shape the deal. As a matter of fact, this season is about public-private partnerships, where I actually have interviewed black mayors in different cities that are doing very interesting and creative things to actually stimulate public-private partnerships in their cities. And so, again, it's about the messaging. As many people are tapping into this information and are very surprised to hear what's happening next door in Birmingham or in Montgomery or in Memphis or even here in Atlanta. You cannot grow your city, you can't grow your country without the outside investment, whether it's from a capital equity standpoint or from a debt standpoint. You need both of them. But more so, you need the expertise, the subject matter experts who are tried and true. You'd be surprised how many people come to me and tell me, hey, I'd like for you to give me a very quick PhD in how to develop a project in about 2 hours. I'm like, wow, man, I really wasted all my time going to school for 7, 8 years, post my, in college. And plus all these years of going through the roller coaster ride of development risk and just the cyclical nature of our business. It just doesn't happen that way. We have a lot of people who have no business being in charge. You hear me? They have no business being in charge. And that's from the development standpoint, and that's also from the government interface. So everything that we do from a development standpoint, as a developer, we draw first blood. The moment I pick up the phone, I go to a meeting, I get on a flight, we start spending money, there is no guarantee of a return on that. When we sign on the dotted line as far as what it means to have a personal guarantee, until you've been faced with the Great Recession, where your guarantee is actually called, and your assets are frozen, you have no idea what it is to actually take risks. And I don't want that for any of you out here, which is why if this is not your wheelhouse, you have no business doing it. But as it relates to our country, Haiti, it can only grow, it can only change if we have, as I mentioned earlier, the three S's as far as structure, stability, and security, to bring in the outside investment from the world, it's it has to be done. Snap our fingers and for it to take place. But it also requires every single one of us that are in here who represent the diaspora to engage. So what I'd like to leave you with, considering that we're out of time, we want to go through the Q&A, is engage, engage, engage. As the ambassador said, let's not make this just, oh, this is the annual event where we just talk about Haiti and we go back about with our businesses and don't get engaged. We need to engage. There's an election coming up next year. We all need to be engaged. All of your circle of friends, the ones you play poker with, drink with, smoke cigars with, whatever you do, play dominoes with, play basic, get them engaged and just stop talking in your backyards or on the telephone. Everybody stop being a philosopher. And tout le monde qui fait philosophie, right? All right. So let's stay engaged. So that's it. Thank you.
Excellent. So, en résumé, nous parler de trois gros bagages aujourd'hui. C'est transparency, nous parler de technologie, et puis nous parler de PPP. Donc, qui est très important. Qu'on y a, quoi que nous allons passer à question, si nous sommes capables, et puis pour nous capables de fermer ça. Si on est capable de passer le microphone là, s'il te plaît.
If we can have 5 come right here, please.
Just get 5.
Yeah.
We need 3 women, 2 men. 3 women, 2 men.
Okay.
Give me a lady, please.
Okay,
I'm not
we
the
can
lady.
lady. Okay, we'll take the ma'am.
6.
Or 6. 3 women, 3 men.
No, let the lady in front of.
Perfect.
All right. You have your. No, that's okay. That's all right. All right. First question.
Oui, bonsoir. Moi, c'est Jean-Venel Caceris, moi, c'est journaliste. Moi, j'ai une question, mais je vais faire un point très rapidement parce que je suis fier de journaliste. Je vais préciser que il y a une différence entre tout le monde c'est journaliste et qui aurait tout le monde journaliste. Fondamentalement, le travail journaliste, c'est qui ça? C'est cueillette d'informations, vérification de l'information, traitement de l'information, analyse de l'information, diffusion de l'information. Si on monte dans les médias fait ça, il n'est pas journaliste. Et c'est ça que dans le jargon américain, on fait une grosse différence entre un journaliste et un influenceur. C'est pas parce qu'on prend un micro ou bien un téléphone qui fait son journaliste. Omar Seka, qui était une figure de la presse française, les spécialistes sport, en jeu sportif. Donc, moi, c'est important pour nous, pour nous faire spécification ça, parce que c'est pas tout le monde, nous, les journalistes, qui c'est journaliste. Et malheureusement, la diaspora, c'est un problème de culture, depuis qu'on, surtout par Haïti, à parler dans les médias, ils sont considérés comme journalistes. Non. Moi-même, je suis journaliste, ou je suis pas une journaliste, parce que également, nous n'avons que l'information, vérification de l'information, traitement de l'information, analyse de l'information et diffusion de l'information. Donc, ça n'a pas ça. Et ça, c'est la différence entre un journaliste avec un. Excusez. Yo gen force, yo capable de faire secret d'État et accès à l'information, faire comme ça le expérience. Question c'est question qui j'en fait je dis à parler de transparence surtout pour Haïti. parce que nous connaissons que nous pas gagné de institutions qui fort et c'est l'ensemble des institutions publiques qui fait le fort. Merci.
Thank you. Let's keep the questions very short because we have less than 10 minutes. Okay? Ball is yours, gentlemen.
Bonjour à tout le monde.
Wait, yeah.
Rapidement, capable de faire affaire de journaliste, hein, c'est-à-dire que, il dit que tout le monde journaliste, c'est une beauté quoi que on connaît, c'est-à-dire, différence entre un journaliste et un influenceur. Et là, on a parlé de transparence. Nous, transparence, nous indiquons que non, pas dans l'État, on n'a pas de transparence en matière de faire business qui connecté ensemble avec le gouvernement. Et c'est ça, ça faut que nous demandions, non, ce n'a pas de transparence. Donc, pour, il y a une loi, il y a une législature qui fait que comme c'est un groupe qui est capable de vivre, on prend ça, que nous revenons dans la transparence. Et transparence, tant que parle de nous, et production, capable de nous, on prend ça, un état de droit, capable de nous tout bas et ça. Et ceci, c'est tout un démarche, c'est une bagarre qui volant bien gentil, là. Et m'a retourné encore sur la pyramide d'Abraham, là. C'est-à-dire, il y a de besoins primaires avant que nous parlions de transparence pour nous résoudre les besoins primaires. Et aussitôt que nous résolvons les besoins primaires, on a monté une chaîne là, le ça, on a regardé. Et transparence, on peut sortir comme si on a éducation, les que nous voulons. D'où encore une fois, nous-mêmes qui dans la diaspora là, on nous utilise les technologies ça pour nous faire des forums, pour nous faire des webinaires, ou au moins que comme si ça que nous parlons de là, voilà, pour nous inculquer dans la tête.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Martine, and I'm a registered nurse. So in Bachelier. Question, no? My question for the ambassador. Parce que l'ambassadeur a parlé de transparence, et puis moi peut-être confus, peut-être bien d'autres monde dans ça là qui a confus tout. Et là, on pose une question sur bagaille, petit peu séparer politique avec diplomatie. Toujours troublé parce que je connais que lorsque l'ambassadeur, vous se représentant un pays à l'extérieur de pays. Donc, je vous représente un gouvernement pays, comment que ça a séparé politique avec diplomatie. Peut-être mal comprendre, je pas assumer que me comprendre, mal comprendre derrière mon clarification. Et deuxièmement, je aimé connaître what is your stand on dual citizenship? Since nous avons demandé tout le monde pour contribuer, est-ce qu'au cas où ça là, c'est professionnel haïtien seulement là? Et comme vous êtes représentant de United Nations, nous travaillons comme ça, et que c'est United Nations même qui publiait que 6% haïtiens qui ont degré, qui ont un diplôme scolaire, yo à l'extérieur d'Haïti, qui j'en ai vu vêtis moun so, qui moun ka enseigner yo, qui moun ka ba expérience à tout parler, mais 6% moun qui capable enseigner yo parmi dans pays là. Donc, nous avons connaît qui stand, where do you stand with dual citizenship? Parce que pour nous contribuer, il faut nous avoir valeur sur le pays. Merci.
Thank you. Let's allow me to. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, that's
Who's gonna ask this question, please?
The ambassador.
Okay, go ahead, Ambassador Thomas.
And please, guys, if you can keep it to one question only, that would be great.
Rapidement pour répondre à votre question, le fait, on prend ça dans la section entre diplomatie politique. Le diplomatie politique, là, donc moi-même, ça fait plus de 33 ans que dans la carrière diplomatique. C'est-à-dire, il y a une différence entre un diplomate de carrière et un diplomate politique. C'est-à-dire, pas contre le gouvernement qui passe devant. Et sauf que parler avec les dans la politique, là, on attaque le problème, même les que vous représentez le pays. Et dans le deuxième volet qui sont proposés, hein, que c'est ça que il a parlé, hein, un gros problème d'information. Un problème d'information, parce que depuis 2012-2013, Vladimir, depuis 2013, vous croyez que n'a pas voté une loi sur double nationalité. Et sur double nationalité, hein, que si je dis en l'ordre ici, ou dans le consulat Haïti à Atlanta, ou bien acte de naissance ou bien loi avec passeport haïtien. Ça, c'est, il n'y a pas divulgué, mais c'est Atlanta, vous êtes que soit Atlanta, et Sandra a regardé tam, c'est certain que vous connaissez ça, parce que vous divulgué l'empile que vous connaissez sous besoin, et ceci pour faire acte de naissance, et même leurs parents d'amour, Le jour, il y a trois mots qui présentent le consulat, qui dit oui, c'est haïtien, ou bien passeport haïtien. Et c'est ça qui permet nous que il faut nous engager nous tout, faut nous engager.
Et les amis, c'est ça ma besoin. Information, ça, sont informations très, très, très importantes. Mais nous pas communiquer, pas un réseau qu'on est capable d'aller là-dedans pour joindre l'information. Ça, voilà, son bail qui est très important pour, madame me pose des questions, ou elle est très émotionnelle de situation, mais son bagage qui est là, survivre là, if you live here in Atlanta, you could do that next week if you want to. It's resolved. So I just wanted to piggyback on getting dual citizenship, which is the issue here. The question is available because it's been available since 2013 for the diaspora, Haitian diaspora to have dual citizenship as long as they can prove that they are of Haitian descent. Next question.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you guys for taking the time and to be here. And actually, I want to keep my question. See, imagine we are with ex-local young general contractor, secretary for the whole state of Florida. My question is for you, Mr. Izzy, is what role has mentorship played in your career, and how did you recommend new developers contractor like us? I would be looking for mentors in this industry. And is there a significant lesson or mistake that shaped your career? Again, thank you guys. And I want to hear from you. And I have a couple more questions. I'll see you on the sideline. Maybe I can ask the other questions.
Okay, great. Thank you for the question. However, what I'm going to do, I'm going to answer one question, and when we do, and I've been focusing on as far as my career is concerned. I mentioned, in case you didn't hear, as part of my mentorship, as opposed to meeting with people on a one-on-one for 30 minutes an hour throughout the week. I can only touch so many people. And a lot of the conversation, not enough time to really get really in-depth conversation because of the fact that I may have a person like yourself may have 5 or 6 questions and want some historical experiences. And that's why I decided to create the real estate development show called Shape the Deal, where I talk about the true dynamics of real estate development, construction, financing, investment, and in the show so people can actually, so I can reach out to thousands of people at a time. But I still do some mentorship, not only within our organization, our company, as far as the, uh, the brightest that are upcoming developers in our organization, but also outside our organization. And it's not just for people who are interested in the field of real estate, development, construction, planning, any field. Somebody that's looking for guidance. The issue is, at the end of the day, people like myself who've had the opportunity to be blessed with success forget the fact that it took many other people that either look like them or not to open doors for them to get to where they are. That means they opened doors and they shared information and guidance. When they get to their position, they hold the information close to the vest. And it is my mission not to do that. Okay. And so that's why I do what I do outside of just my day to day enterprise.
All right. Unfortunately, due to time constraints, this gentleman will have the last question.
I'm lucky. See?
Okay. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but you can talk to them on the side, okay?
Okay. Moi-même, c'est Alex, ingénieur, mais c'est président CEO de ou compagnie nous fait fonder en Haïti. Alors, il y a 3 ans, que les consortiums mettent fait vert. Comme nous connaissons que l'ONU, États-Unis, Canada, dit, des moitiés de la population haïtienne qui parle grand coup. nous commençons à planter et ensuite, nous connaissons le blocage, nous commençons à planter dans le nord, et puis, là, nous sur 2 millions de kilogrammes, et puis nous bâtissons ici, nous commençons à faire gâteau, bon, pain, farine, toute bagarre, on a farine qu'a fait actuellement là, donc, il y en a qui visent ici, nous, mais quand il y a là, même, question à poser assez, peu, on paye. On est bon, il y a radio, il y a télévision, mais ça n'a fait, bagay ça yo. Donc, pour approcher yo, pour participer plus de pays. Et, comme tu as dit, et qui n'a, l'on approché yo, on a raison, pour nous d'abord investissement, faut nous tâter couvert administratif. Or, moi-même, son équipe, il y a presque 20 ans là, depuis m'occuper. I mean, honest, et nous sommes en CQM, nous sommes certified quality manager. Qui sont conseillers, on compare pour nous comme ça, et private, public, like, qui sont conseillers dans le sens que c'est un diaspora qui investit dans la compagnie, qui investit pour privé, et puis, qui sont conseillers tout, en propos que vous avez un grand nord là, vous connaissez bien mon café, jalousie, mais grand nord a commencé sur les terrains. Non, grand nord a commencé comme pour mon côté, nous avons comme échantillon.
Okay.
Qui sont d'accord?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's
Very
go
short.
let's go to the next question.
Okay, then we can
Yeah.
summarize that. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for the panel. My name is Lorraine Experience. I'm a volunteer with Partners of the Americas, and I'm in healthcare by trade. My question for Mr. Benoit, anyone else who wants to answer. So you talk about structure, security, and stability. So I think what I'm missing is the structure, the government. You said new government structure. Can you please elaborate on that just a little bit so I can understand what that new government structure should look like? Because we know we have a democratic system and a political system or government. So please help me understand. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, last question. Thank you. Okay, my name is Daphne Perea, and I'm an entrepreneur. So I work also in the creative industry. And my question is really for Ambassador Thomas. And I want to know if there's any update regarding like, the CARICOM space where Haiti is part of the CARICOM, but in terms of like sport and having like some, custom benefit, the same way when we export from Haiti to the US, we don't pay for the custom. But when we do it to the CARICOM country, we have to pay like around 25% to 30% just for custom fees. So I know this was a discussion back in the days. We got it in part of this market so we can export free of custom. I want to know what is the update. Can we do that and have it benefit all Caribbean country can benefit from each other? Thank you. Thank you. Gentlemen, if you could summarize and wrap up for us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ambassador, I think you go first, or yeah, the first question
The first,
was about
of the PPP.
yeah, the PPP.
When you look at the structure of the PPP, and I'll make you that, first of all, my question is, do you have the government regarding land that you need? Sous gen ça, d'ailleurs, c'est-à-dire, l'offre PPP, pour quoi son besoin l'État, c'est sous sacré. L'État, premièrement, li et deuxièmement, son besoin aussi, ça. Matière première aussi qui m'a. Moi-même, je crois que c'est ça appelle et l'homme, on va aller pour nous voir comme un projet. Et vraiment, félicitons ça, un projet comme ça, que on est capable ouais, dans ma qui ça capable parce que on va dire là que là, on retourner dans le pays, ça m'a avec là que ouais, ça fait bise, pour manger. Ah, ma bonne téléphone, moi, je me rappelle. Deuxième question qui est importante que Daphne posé, et c'est comme ça, comment que produit, par exemple, ici, nous avons actuellement là, avec le gouvernement américain, avec la travail pour être capable de renouveler et plan avec le plan. Et tu as souhaité que ça fait. Maintenant, niveau non, moi, après regarder ça, je suis bien content pour dire ça, parce que pour regarder dans la liste produits que nous avons, nous avons 48 produits en point de sable qui est exempt de taxes dans le marché CARICOM. Là, on va regarder dans le secteur courrier, à regarder est-ce qu'on prend ça pour comprendre tout à fait que le secteur artisanal, même secteur, et on nous regarde, on nous regarde, donc au sens ça, capable de faire. Côté que produit la cano, et produit qui rentre la cano, que nous avons des taxes.
It's, first and foremost, is that we know there's an election that's coming up. And this is the time for, as I mentioned, for us to engage. The diaspora has to be very clear as to what the ask is. So we know whoever is, whoever we're supporting to become the president of the country has an agenda, a platform that represents all the concerns that we're talking about. Okay, it's time. We can't just sit back and watch what happens in Haiti, whether it's transparency or not, and then see the results and say, "Oh my God, it's the same thing over and over." We have, what is it, 12, 14 months head start to really start engaging. And again, every one of your, you will go home or you'll go to their website and see who is the consul general, who is the king. Because for any project, memo, okay? Better back that, okay? You had the vision and the foresight. Learn les gars en Haïti do que they want to take over your project. They want to take control. Ici, c'est le même genre avec, you have to go to your government. You have to go to your government. You should go to your consulate, your consul general. You should go to Minister des Affaires étrangères. That should represent you, okay? Your agenda moving forward. So we have to let that actually represents our concern. Make sure that we're fully engaged in that process, as opposed to just another person.
Excellent. Thank you. Few minutes left. We appreciate your time.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. A round of applause for Mr. Jacques Jean, Mr. Benoit, and Ambassador Ganzi Thomas. Thank you so much for the conversation. Don't run out of here, they're gonna get you. All right. And so we're going right into the next session from ideas to action. Build workforce development strategies for Haiti. Please welcome our moderator, founder of BUN, Mr. Marc-Alain Boussicot.
Yeah, all the panelists can go on stage, so I can start.
Sandra. Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. It is an absolute pleasure for me to be here today to be leading what I think will be a fascinating discussion. I am extremely happy and pleased to be part of NHB and also being part of the hosting committee. NHB means so much to me, and I'm extremely happy and honored to be able to contribute back with providing you access to more knowledge, more information, but most importantly, more action for him. Today's panel discussion is going to be about building bridges. And the title of the panel is really about collaborative efforts to support workforce development for Haiti's economic growth. So my name is Melkane Musiku. I'm the founder of Bunch, and the topic is very important to me because through the work that we do at Bunch in Haiti, we work a lot with young people. We see ourselves and our vision is to really be your partner on the ground to be able to execute innovation projects that are really supporting three very important things: young people, innovation, and entrepreneurship. So the entire conversation about workforce is really about creating economic opportunities. It's really about creating jobs for Haiti. And we put together a very interesting panel for you today that really brings perspective from different point of view. And what we hope is that this conversation will bring knowledge for you to be able to inform your decision as in how you're positioning yourself when it comes to workforce development for Haiti, but also to help you understand who are on the ground, who are doing great things, who are actually tackling these issues, and how we can create more collaboration among them. So on this panel, we bring, of course, the ambassador of the US in Haiti, overseeing the programs that the US is implementing in Haiti. So Mr. Dennis Bruce Atkins. I am extremely happy to be moderating a panel with him. I'm myself a Fulbright scholar, so I am a sponsored scholar from the US Embassy in Haiti. And I actually connected with NAHP because I came here as a Fulbright scholar. So it's really like a great circle. But we also brought together Haitian businessmen, people who are working in Haiti building businesses. So people like Gilbert Gonzalez, who is vice president of Groupe Ribaud, but also the CEO of PISA, involved in agriculture. So very important. On our panel as well today, we have Wolfson Pong, who from Solenji, also in the private sector space, involved in fixing or solving the issue of energy in Haiti. We also have a few experts on the ground, people who are creating that opportunity for workforce to be connected to the right partners and being able to create opportunity for people. So we have with us Joanne Boumouni from GK, and also Marlene from CFET. Okay, Marlene Gay from CFET. And to engage in this discussion, to sure I have everything, it's a really solid panel. And then the last person on the panel, of course, is Sandra, who's bringing the perspective of the US diaspora, as she is an expert in human resources and she's been helping companies scale in the US. So as you can see, it's a really heavy panel, it's a strong one, but with a lot of amazing perspectives when it comes to the private sector, when it comes to the US engagement, when it comes to people on the ground who are actually building the bridges, and of course the private sector. So I'm going to start the conversation really by engaging with you, Gilbert. So you will be the first one I'm going. So let's set up a picture and help people understand what the issue of the private sector when it comes to workforce development in Haiti.
Well, let me just grab this. Okay, now you can hear me. Hello, everybody. Pleasure to be here. Okay, so the issue of workforce development in Haiti. Well, I'll give a little bit of our perspective. As you can imagine, getting the right people at the right position is not always easy in Haiti. We have certainly a lot of shortfall when it comes to the levels of education at the universities that we've been dealing with, finding the right candidates for the different positions that you have has always been kind of a tough issue. However, as we all know, the challenging situation in Port-au-Prince mostly has created even more of an issue now. So before, for example, I'll give you one example of a position that we had a little trouble finding. It's, for example, cost accountant, somebody to be a chief accountant for the company, but who's an expert in cost accounting. Most businesses in Haiti are commerce. So when you need a very good cost accountant, it's already not easy. Well, nowadays, those are the types of positions where these levels of people have either left the country or have left at least Port-au-Prince. We actually lost our chief accountant that had 5 years with us, who decided to go move to Lekai. I cannot say that it's not a good thing, but he did that, and it's only getting more complicated because of, first of all, the insecurity. The second thing is, I would say, having the disconnection between what is being produced at the university level when we talk about the different expertise coming out of universities versus what is needed by companies. So you can have, for example, 1,000 accountants, but then you need another specialized skill, like, for example, an engineer in industrial engineering. You don't find much of those. So disconnect is also something that is causing us issues. I would probably talk also about educational level of the new hires, meaning that they come out of school, they feel that they've spent 18 years in the schooling system, then 4 years in the university system, so they feel ready, but then they come into a company that's at a certain level of modernity, and they're not they're not in touch at all, especially with the level of technology. So it's like when those professionals get to work, you still have a lot of training to give them. So these are just some of the examples that I would highlight.
I think the issue of the sector is there's a lot that's touching here, right? There's a brain drain. Somebody actually just talked about this very famous World Bank statistics, stating that 80% of the Haitians who went to university in Haiti are leaving abroad. We're having the issues as well of, sometimes importing human resources in Haiti. You go to middle management is being empty, so hiring Filipinos to be able to uphold standards, and also the issue of collaboration, right? How much are we working together to actually touch on these points and really being able to be there for each other and solving this common issues that we are all solving. So I'm going to move to Olaf's son, who's also coming from the private sector, but who's actually been trying some solutions, right? So Olaf, so why don't you share a little bit with us about the work you're doing at Solengi and actually how you are trying to fix the issue of workforce development for Solengi?
Okay, thank you. I'm very pleased to be here. So maybe a bit of context before I start with the issues and the solutions. My background, I was trained in Germany. The beginning of my professional career started in Germany in the solar industry, and I wanted to bring that in Haiti. The problem is renewable energy can only work with financing, long-term financing. And obviously, if you're going to finance a system, you need to be able to predict the longevity of a system. And with that starts the problem. So you can buy the best equipment from the best brands, put that together, but if a screw is not well put, that system will last 18 months instead of 10 years. So no institutions in Haiti wanted to finance solar in Haiti. Ourselves, we started training our own technicians, so we don't use external contractors. We took them right away from technical school and started training them to install solar. The problem we have is technical schools, it's not sexy to learn certain things. So the young people, they want to learn technology. So they come out, like Gilbert mentioned, they spend a lot of money, a lot of effort. We know that Haitian, they want to educate themselves. And then they come to us as solar technicians, but they don't know how to drive. They don't know how to use tools. So they come with certain basic lacks
where we have to work and redo certain things. So that's a big issue for us. And what we're trying to do as a solution is also something I've learned in Germany. It's an apprentice model where we want to work, or we're working with certain technical schools where they get the theory from these technical schools, but not start after. While they're learning the technical part with the schools, they come and spend half their time in our company. So with that, we can guide what they're learning. They understand also what they will be needing. So just an example, we had a larger project. We hired 20 young guys, and unfortunately just one woman, to implement the project with us. But we had to hire 5 drivers to drive them around. And they didn't understand that being a technician, solar technician, and not being able to drive doesn't make you attractive for any solar company. So these are things that we realize and we think that could help.
I think we're going to stay in the space of solution, right? Let's talk about solution and what are people actually doing, right? And I think it's very interesting to bring in 2 very special firms in Haiti, who are JICA and CIFET, through their founders here. It's very important to understand that they're really top quality companies who are in Haiti who are actually helping navigating the chaos of what's happening. So I would like to take it to Marlene Gay first and have you talk a little bit about CIFET and your approach to addressing the issue of workforce development in Haiti.
Can you hear me?
Yes, my name is Marlene Gay, and I am the CEO founder of CIFET SA. CIFET is a private company specialized in human resource management and capacity development. Our workforce development approach is inspired by our mission. We are engaged in improving Haitian workforce performance and also to develop locally necessary capacities so that local businesses and organizations can address and meet their own needs. So basically what we do, we just train people to meet local organizations so that they can learn to solve their problems. So our focus for workforce development, we first focus on the employee. We look at the employee to address personal development, touching issues like ethics, accountability. That's the person we are interested in. Then secondly, we look at the professional skills. So to see exactly what, if it's an accountant, that person is good with numbers, even if it's developing a writing project management, then we focus on that. And thirdly, we also focus on the organization's overall objectives and future perspective, because we want the training to respond to or to address a real need. And there is a last element that we always address, and I think that's part of CFET's social responsibility. We always connect our training with community capabilities so that we know that if I train somebody in Pillon, then that person in that community now has that capability to be able to meet their needs. Now, for the training design, how we approach training so that it meets the organization's needs. So we do training needs assessment before we do any intervention. The training needs assessment, we cover again the employee's existing capability because we know that there's a problem in education. The education level may be very low. So we must evaluate where is that person so that we know how to design the training so that the training does not go over the employee's head. So we evaluate their existing capabilities. Then we also evaluate the organization's overall objectives
and also future perspective, so that the training address the organization or the business needs, so that that employee can help them move forward. We also, during the assessment, we look at the overall work environment. How do they do things in that company? How do they work together? So that with us, we always try to bring to the maximum the workplace into our training center. So therefore, if I'm training doctors to go and train a social a anybody, then I need to know exactly what do they do in that organization, so that I can mimic the workplace and bring it into the training session. And we also build in post-training reinforcement, because also we believe that real training takes place in the workplace. So I will bring you for a week, we do training, and then I will always build in 1 or 2 days, so that I will go in at the workplace to make sure that you apply the new knowledge, the new know-how, that you apply it correctly. So we always build that into our training design. And finally, we also try to scale up, so that after the helping them after the training at the post-training enforcement, then we will give recommendations. So based on what that employee, how they are applying the new knowledge, this is what we recommend for future knowledge, and also for anything that they can build or scale up on the level where we left them. So more or less, that's how we approach workforce development whenever we are called upon to intervene. Thank you.
Thank you, Marlene. I think I really love how intentional you are about it and how you are present at all level of what is needed to be done. And I think examples like that set the tone for exactly what the purpose of this panel is to really dive deeper into what more can we do and what we can build on. I think you provided a lot of perspective into things that we can think about. Let me bring it to the other very special organization that is on the ground as well, that is doing that work. Marlene is an advocate for years, as you can see. JK is also doing, have a different approach, or maybe a complementary approach, which is a bit more strategic. So I would like you, Joanne, to walk us a little bit through JK's approach to it, so we can add more into the solution space.
Thank you, Marc-Alain. I would start by giving you a little bit of background on who JK is and what it is that we do. JK is a business advisory firm focused on economic development. And we know that economic development is not only about financial instruments, about financing and about funding, but it's mostly about people and about getting business and the private sector investment ready. So for our JK clients, we work in different spectrums. The first spectrum is acceleration, and then we move the client to cultivation, and then we move them to acceleration where they're ready to have access to larger ticket funds. And our approach to workforce development is in the form of a corporate social responsibility initiative. What we do is, with our clients, JK, we identify specific skills and specific needs. And then in the form of a grant as a corporate social responsibility, we give that training to people that live below the level of poverty, getting them the skills they need to be immediately on the workforce. And as an example, we recently launched our renewable energy program with our client, Patrick Eugène from Digital Cap. Patrick is here. And within that program, we train people on assembly, maintenance, and installation of solar panels and solar systems. And immediately, since it was done with one of our private sector clients, immediately after the training, Digital Cap hired all the participants. So immediately after that, so what it translates to, the private sector and business trains for their specific needs. And to Wowo's point, it is more complete, and it is more effective, and it is more readily income generator. And also, as a solution, we've recently launched conversation and signed an MOU with the Haitian American Chamber of Commerce to bring in more private sector businesses into that CSR initiative to drive more businesses, to drive more economic development. Because we believe that economic development is more of a collaboration continuum. To get one business from scarcity to abundance, you need to go through several steps. So if we talk in terms of school, before graduating from acceleration, from incubation to where the business can accelerate and thrive, you have to go through several processes. So if I can resume, you start by a small grant in from forms of training within our CSR initiative that we call Bracing Neighbors. And then you graduate, you go through JCAS services.
That is excellent. Can anybody spot the difference between the two approaches already? I feel like Marlene has been a lot the workforce itself, but Sheka is really holding the hands of the businesses, and somehow they intersect with each other, right? And this is what we're really talking about when we're talking about bridging. How can we work together and be stronger as a whole and closing those gaps? But there's one thing that's probably missing. I wanted to also send a quick shout out to Erika Rosenthal from AmSham for congratulations on this MOU. So we're already seeing, these collaborations happening, and we need more of that. But let's bring in the Haitian diaspora to the conversation, right? And this is why having Sandra Jean on the panel is so important. So Sandra, why don't you walk through, you've heard the two presentations, and you also have your own approach of working with businesses in the US. So what would be some of those best practices that you could, add the soup so we can really move the conversation further?
Sure. Everyone can hear me, right? Yay, I got it to work. Okay, so a little bit about my background. I am a labor and employment attorney with a focus on employee engagement. That's how I branched into HR. Companies started hiring me not only to mitigate their risks around legal potential pitfalls that exist when they engage a workforce, but also how am I helping them keep and maintain an engaged workforce. 3 years ago, I've been an attorney since 97, but 3 years ago, I started the Gene Consulting Group. And essentially what we do is work with companies here in the US across various states and help them take them from, I'm going to follow your word, incubation, but startup all the way to scaling. So what we do is focus on what do we need to do and how do we structure and build a workforce that is tailored to the company. So a lot of people on the panel spoke about the same nuances in terms of custom tailoring your workforce for exactly what the company does and aligning your workforce with your values. So again, a lot of what they do, we face here too, and I won't repeat it, but one of the things that we do is we go to a granular level to analyze the workforce. I'm sure everyone here has heard about the concept of the multi-generations that are in the workforce. How do you deal and teach and grow each generation that you're dealing with? We've had the pandemic that has impacted how people approach work. So you look at not only developing them for technical skills, but you also want them to learn about the company's culture. You want them to understand critical skills. You want them to be vested in the company and understanding how each one of them contribute to the growth of the company. You also want to identify those that you can upskill to bring to a management level. So there are various layers, as was shared before, that you would analyze and incorporate into the strategic growth plan of the organization or the company so that you have them stay with you and grow with you as you move forward in your journey as a company.
That is great. It also adds another layer on what was said before, which is really diving into the workforce itself, and also as you're considering growing the company. Gilbert, I wanted to go back to you very quickly again before I move ahead with the conversation. I'm sure you guys are hearing solutions from all across the table, but you mentioned problems at the beginning of your presentation. But what are you doing at PISA to solve some of these issues that we could learn from?
Okay, I'm trying this again, still not working. Okay. Okay, so I forgot to clarify at the beginning that I am the CEO of PISA, which is an agro-industrial company doing coffee and cacao, etc. But I'm also the VP of the Rebo Group. So the Rebo Group is about 500 employees, more or less. So we've dealt with a lot of different types of issues, and we've had to implement some internal solutions. Okay, so for example, I will say that one of the things we noticed early is that with the stress levels in Haiti, our workforce is number one for us. It's one of our most important components. So we've had to see how we can help deal with the stress. So one of the things that we have implemented are some annual counseling in terms of sessions on wellness and how to deal with stress. So this is one of the things that is a little plus that we give. But on the other level, what we've noticed is that we have higher ahead of need. That's very costly. I mean, I worked very short in the US before going to Haiti, and I know that efficiency is important. Well, in case of Haiti, often you have to hire even when you don't necessarily need that position today, because you know that person is going to have to go through some training before they can actually do their job. And the other thing is that sometimes you meet somebody, you realize the exact fit that you might need in 6 months, and you hire because you realize that you might find that scarce resource. So that's another strategy that we have established. The other one is that we have an ongoing internship program where we're taking interns in many different departments at all times of the year. This is one of the best ways we've seen that we've been able to get the best talent. We take 10 interns, and at the end of 6 months, we let go of 8 of them, and we keep 2 of them, the best that have taken our trainings. Something else that we do is that we've established what you call polyvalent, I don't know how to say it, positions inside.
Multidisciplinary?
Yeah,
Multidisciplinary?
basically inside a department, you have a person who's being trained at different positions, cross training, because we realize that first turnover, second for vacation time and everything. So there's one person who's like an intern, but who's being trained at different positions. So it's a bunch of solutions that are also flexibility solutions that have been giving us good results and that have helped us maintain our growth and our face what we're going through today.
Thank you, Gilbert. I got a little note that says I forgot the ambassador. I did not forget the ambassador. The way we designed this conversation today was really to dive you into understanding the problems, really thinking about the solution. And then we get to the third level of the conversation where we think about how do we support this ecosystem and how do we make it grow, right? What a perfect segue, right? To bring in Mr. Denise Bruce Hankins to really tell us a little bit about how the U.S. Is supporting workforce development in Haiti. What kind of programs are doing, and how do you see this collaboration?
Thanks very much. It's working. So you know the Sesame Street song, one of these things is not like the other. So I recognize when I'm in a group of entrepreneurs, I've been a bureaucrat for 40 years. I've never made a decision wondering, am I going to get paid or not paid? I get paid either way. I've never had to worry, really, will I be able to pay my employees next month? So I recognize policy people can often make recommendations that have no basis in business realities. So I always respect business people. And I've always found particularly small and medium business people, when I ask them what they're most proud about, it's not normally, oh, the big house they have or the car. It's the 200 employees that were able to send their kids to school and to build things, but recognizing every decision they make puts themselves at risk. I will put some of this in terms of how we see this as policy. because actually this is a major part of what we're looking at as U.S. government and as the embassy. Obviously we're focused on security, we're looking at political stability, but if you don't look at the economic part, you're missing a major part of the story. I recognize that for many 14 and 15-year-old Haitian males, if you see no economic opportunity, if you see no option, being a member of a gang is perhaps a very inviting option. So if you don't have an education system that supports them, if you don't create job opportunity, if you don't have a trade relationship that supports exports so that companies can hire and maintain employees, then your security problem is permanent. We see the heavy amount of displacement, 700,000 displaced Haitians within Haiti. About half of them are in the southern part of the country. And when we talk to the Prime Minister, the government, even as they focus on Port-au-Prince and the West, they're also aware if they don't create agricultural opportunity, job opportunity, clear the roads so products can move back and forth, then if and when you get better security in Port-au-Prince, they're afraid those 350,000 return go to the same slum areas where there's no opportunity. We look at this then across. Education, first and foremost. That's where, and again, should in fact be my AID mission director, but also we have a number of other partners looking at how do we build and help support sustainable education systems. And as others said, for education that's actually practical. Also then not forgetting vocational education. One of the previous speakers is, okay, you've got philosophers, you need some more agronomists and plumbers probably.
Yeah.
Trying to build those skill sets that are there. We look a lot at agriculture. So even there, I know we work with Rebo, we look at then products, agricultural production in the countryside, not only for its economic impact, but to provide some option for the youth to stay. We've been heavily focused, and it's still not as successful as I want, trying to restart mango exports to the United States. That was 200,000 families. That constitutes probably 1 million Haitians that had some economic benefit from mango exports to the United States. Very small holders. One tree produces the equivalent of maybe $1,000 per year. But for a lot of families, that would be enough to send their kids to school. So it's a small cash crop that can have a big multiplying effect. But that's where insecurity then immediately comes in. We weren't happy that we had to suspend, but when we could no longer do monitoring against fruit flies, then Haitian exports threatened then the agricultural businesses of the United States. There are other agricultural products we look at. Coffee, it doesn't have the same concerns unless they send to Hawaii or Puerto Rico. Cacao has export markets. We're looking heavily now, and a lot of this is through USAID, looking at manioc flour and other products, and also looking at how do you then produce this for Haitian markets. There is this big debate, well, why are you importing rice from the United States? Shouldn't you support local production? That's a major debate, I think, for the country, because you decide, are you an agrarian country where you want to protect small farmers and you want to keep people, you want to prevent urbanization? Or are you already an urban country where you have to bring foodstuffs to the population at the lowest price possible? And that's a basic policy conversation. But it is directly related to our security concerns. Again, looking at everybody here. And I've been impressed every time we've had a business person here. I see so many entrepreneurs in the room. Those are the ones that got the most attention, I think, because I see many of you are interested. You generally have the standard in a high threat country, in a political risk country, the rates of return one would normally expect. Now in the US, if you get a 3 or 4% rate of return on your investment, yeah, you're pretty happy with that. If you're looking at Haiti, you probably have to at least see a 15% or higher rate of return, unless you have an emotional connection and you're willing to sacrifice your rate of return because you're making an investment back. We do try heavily with Washington to make sure that they recognize that Haiti is not Port-au-Prince. You know, we have been successful through AID, CDC, our other activities, working heavily both in the north and the south, and in many ways unimpeded. And to make sure that people recognize there are opportunities and investment opportunities. And in fact, there's a crying need for diversification of infrastructure. AID is working right now on port expansion in Port-au-Prince, but in Cape Haitian. I know Kai to make sure that there's international commercial ports available. Because so often, you know, we look at Hope Help, we look at the textile industry. Hope Help is important, but most of the contracts were lost when for a month and a half, the factories in the north could not receive fuel because the port in Port-au-Prince was closed. And as soon for a month and a half they couldn't meet contracts, then they lose. And nobody looking for their Christmas, Christmas apparel, and it doesn't show up till January, you're not going to get another contract. So we do look at this, what is the policy side from the states, but we recognize security is directly related. A lot of people have touched on it. As we go through, I think there's already been a debate. Certainly with the election, I can't predict what a new administration will look at. A lot of people talk about the drain brain. I had not heard that statistic of if 80% of Haitian graduates end up in the United States. I do know the Minister of Health, she was saying, she went to a hospital in New York for something minor and saw that almost half the staff were Haitian. And she came back, well, I think we train 200 nurses a year, but I understand 150 of them go to the US, so Haiti is actually financing the US public health system. And you don't have money to afford that. So it's a difficult, because on a personal level, we absolutely understand. And there are push factors and there are pull factors. The push factors are very much driven by security, but there's also a push factor if you cannot find a good job, if you can't get the education qualified for that job, if you cannot get the benefits that would be commensurate with that job, you look elsewhere. So again, I am the blah blah amongst people that actually have to make these decisions and make them right if they want to stay in business, but it is a major part of our policies.
Thank you, Ambassador. I think you brought a in-depth insight on what the U.S. is doing and also what the perspective could look like. We don't have much time left because I want to open up for Q&A, but I would like to go back to the private sector and go to you, Wolverson. We're going to stay in the space of how do we support, right? You started a small pilot with the work that you've been doing with some of your trainees. What do you think are the support that you need or the private sector in general needs to be able to sustain workforce development?
Thank you for that question. So as I mentioned earlier, we had some limited success into training technicians. We have about 25 technicians in our company, and we actually are integrating that part as part of our business. So we're launching early next year what we call the Solenji Academy. So all our employees actually, they will be working from Monday to Friday. And then the Saturdays, the half Saturdays, they will be training, whether it's learning how to drive, whether it's learning English. 95% of books about technology or know-how transfer is in English. So if you don't speak English, you only have access about less than 5% of these potential content. So we're experimenting with that. We see it's very successful. Now we need support. Our core business is not education. So we need support into special skills or special organization like the ones that are present on the table to accompany us how to build that academy, how to be effective with that academy. And obviously, this is an investment. There's also cost. We're willing to invest in our employees, but as many things, if you're doing something for 10 employees a year, or if you're doing for 50 employees a year, the cost difference is not 5 times more. So we have an interest of trying to scale it up to be more efficient, but also to really maybe set an example in the industry so that other companies would do that, and then we would all benefit. Because when we train 20 technicians, we cannot absorb those 20 technicians, and some of them will go and do their own businesses. Others will go to other companies that maybe can't offer that. So this is our approach, and this is what we want to do.
That's very interesting. And I think on that part of the conversation, I want to bring some hope, right? Bring some good energy. So we're going to go back to Sifet and Jikat. Maybe walk us through 2 minutes each, like a success story. I know you talked about your a client that you had already. So I'll let Marlene go with what is a success story that gives you hope to continue doing what you're doing with the workforce development in Haiti? We can start. Okay.
I wanted to ask you how much time we have.
We have about 5
Well,
minutes to wrap up.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. JECA has been in business since 2012, and within a project of the USAID, for example, we've managed to mobilize $25 million in investment for SMEs for the past 6 years, and we are continuing this venture with the USAID, bringing support to SMEs that are business ready. And I would share a success story. For example, we worked with Digital Cap, our partner.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
That we were able to mobilize $5 million in investment for him to bring to and increase his workforce with up to 25% increase in revenue and in job creation as well.
Amazing. Marlene, you want to chime in with a success story from Sifet?
Yeah, no, I would like to share as a success story the work I've done for MIDA at the ATTAND project. We were asked to provide business training to 300 micro enterprises. And also we had to recruit and train about 15 local business advisor trainers. And we knew that, so that within the community that we had to go and recruit those people. The communities we were working in Tillon, we were working in Saint Raphael, we were in Tomond, and we were in Mesh. And we knew that we weren't going to be able to find local business advisors already trained in those communes. So what we did, we recruited 15 university graduates, freshly graduated from college, from the university. And then we went into a collaborative agreement with ENFP to do the business training for us. We could have done the training ourselves, in fact, because we do business training. We have the material, that, as a matter of fact, the material that we have, we got a grant from USAID to put it into Haitian Creole. But we sought the support of ENFP. ENFP is the Institut National de Formation Professionnelle. So they were the regulators for the vocational schools in Haiti. So we sought their support because we felt that from a sustainability point of view, it would have been, I mean, a certificate from ENFP will carry more weight and will have more value added to it than a certificate from us, from CFET. So ENFP provided the training, and they covered a training teams such as entrepreneurship, business management, a teacher training, facilitation techniques, and all that. And they provided 200 hours of training to those young university graduates. They also provided 80 a practicum in the field because they had to go to the field to train people and to do site visit, to give one-to-one coach accompaniment to the businesses. And us, CFET, we provided 10 hours of training covering how did CFET get to where we are, because we are in business for 36 years. So we felt that for the business advisors, for them to go and advocate success to micro enterprise, they have to have a model that succeeded. So we gave them an orientation to how did we get where we are, what were the mistakes we committed, how much it cost us those mistakes, and how we repaired those mistakes. So they went to all that with them, and then they went to spend the whole year with ENFP. At the end, ENFP certified 10 out of the 15, because 2 of them dropped out and 3 advisors did not, they failed the evaluation exam that the NFP gave them to certify them. And the second phase of the program, they had to go and become advisors. So what we did, we changed their contract before they were employees. Now we changed their contract the second year. So now they became consultants. Because if you are going to be business advisors, you are going to be consulting. So they had to learn how to be a consultant. So therefore, one of all the requirements for them to have that contract, a consultant contract, they had to go and get their business license, because for you to be a consultant in Haiti, you have to have your patent, you have to get a business license. So they had to get that. They had a fixed monthly fees, and then they also had to have monthly deliverables. So therefore, those guys really work closely with us in delivering those deliverables. And then they had to provide a work plan, a budget. We provided the fund for the training activities and the transportation. And they had to, we organized them in teams, because in the group, there were 10 of them. We had accountants, we have administrators, we have teachers. So each one had a responsibility. For example, the accountant, they had to be the training, they had to do accounting training for all the business advisors. So this way they were developing expertise in their field. And we had to provide regular site visits to the businesses. And they had one key deliverable they had to do, they had to give at the end of the program. They had to identify and select 75 business advisors business owners to receive an incentive award. And again, for that also, for those businesses to receive that award, they also had some requirements. The requirements had to attend all the training, 100% of all the training sessions, because we gave training in Tomod, in Hesh, in Pillon, Saint Raphael. So if somebody in Tomod missed the training, they had to go to Hesh or to Saint Raphael to make up for that, so that they can have the end 100% of the training. And they had to write a business plan, the business owners. They had to apply the new techniques, and then they also had to renew or obtain their business license. They also had to become member of a network association. And that, again, that's very close to our heart. That's part of the community, that, okay, you're a businessman, you have to be in a network so that you can create an ecosystem whereby they can help. So at the end of the program, the 75 people, they received the award, and then it was the first category was $900, the second category was $650, and the third was $400. But the success that I like to share today is that there was supposed to be a third phase. The third phase did not happen, but nevertheless, the program continued, because the advisors, they continue to work in the field, and the business owners, and that's one thing that we taught them, that for a business to succeed, you have to learn to invest into the business. So they went and sought the support of the business advisors. They accepted to pay for the service. We have one business owner who paid 70,000 gold, about $500, for an advisor to help him develop a concept note, because PARE is a USAID animal husbandry support project in the Plateau Central. So they send what they call an corner of expression of interest. So therefore, that business owner paid 70,000 gold for the advisor to help him prepare the concept note, and that concept note was accepted by PARE. And then now they have $130,000 worth of contract with PARE. So this is, I feel like, had we been there, it would have continued. So that's a really great success
I think we
story
should
for us.
put our hands together for Marlene for all the work that she's doing. I'm very grateful for the timekeeper for adjusting the time, because I I was panicking because I wasn't sure when did all this time fly, but we still have a little bit more time until we reach the end of our panel. So I'm going to give it back to you, Joanne. Before I jump into maybe you saying more into your success so we can open up into the future, Sandra, I wanted to bring you back very quickly. I mean, you heard about the successes and you hear about what's happening, but what would you advise or what would your thoughts be about um, what businesses in Haiti could integrate in their approach so they can think more about scaling and growing the workforce and also growing these businesses from your experience here in the US?
Thank you. Um, the one thing that I see globally that is incorporating the concept of having human resources as a separate department or entity within a company. Many times what I see is that you have a business owner, like it was mentioned, many of us in here are business owners. We have an idea to go into the and create a business. And you don't really think about the people side of the business. We hire workers and we expect them to just do the job. Well, I'm not talking about huge conglomerates. I'm not talking about big companies that already go with the department. I'm talking about the average entrepreneur that goes and opens business and has a vision for the business, is very clear on the operation side of the business, but not necessarily thinking about how do I hire for that business? Who do I bring in? What are the different levels I need to have in the business so that the people that I hire can actually move the business forward? I've heard a lot about, I'm sure everyone's heard about it. Your employees can be your best assets because you can't be everywhere all the time. So you want to make sure you have a very talented and educated and trained workforce it is to be on the panel with the organizations that offer that type of service. Because that is needed. You can't just go and hire people and just expect them to be able to contribute to the level that you would like to see within your company. You have to be intentional about what do you need, how do you hire for that group, how do you develop them, what are the other things that they need. We talked about the concept of wellness. Here wellness became a big issue uh, after the pandemic, during the pandemic. In Haiti, I think someone mentioned on the panel, we have crisis after crisis that your employees have to deal with. How do you compensate for that? How do you take care of the whole person? Those are concepts, to name a few, that need to be incorporated, I believe, in businesses when they go and try to Haiti and hire for that business.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you so much. You wanted to come back, Joanne, to say maybe a little more. I heard a lot of your clients talking about you as, say so many great things about your sport, calling you a mother or babysitter. Tell us more about, the success story you wanted to touch. You didn't have enough time, so I think it would be fair for you to come back in.
When you asked me the question, I was thinking much higher level, but I wanted to tell the story of a woman that we've helped through our corporate social initiative and go back to that emphasizes on Sandra's comment. It's people that do business in Haiti experiment what we call at JICA the tyranny of the moment, which means that within one business day, within 124 hours, you have managed on an average, what, Bill, 10 crises, 15?
Two, three crises.
Two, three, that are critical for the survival of your business, your survival, the survival of your employees. So I think the power of collaboration is important. I think it brings out the value of expert advice because entrepreneurs are good at what they do. They are good at being doctors. They are good at being chemists for their manufacture. They are good at doing solar panels. They are good in agriculture. But to be able to have a future story with your business, to be able to strategize, know specifically what type of investment you need, if you need a blended finance, if you need an impact investor, if you need a line of credit, if you need a loan, if you need you need expert advice. This is done through collaboration
Absolutely.
between Haitians and diaspora as well.
Thank you. You wanted to add something to that just before I get
Yes.
to the
So
final part of our
yes.
presentation.
So very quickly, one thing that I think is very important as well is the cultural aspect. So in Haiti, for probably 200 years now, we've been resilient. We've been moving from crisis to crisis to crisis. So, for example, with our employees, when we try to talk to them about actually themselves, they have to protect themselves. We have actually to threaten to use safety gear. We had one of one of the best technicians we had. He almost lost sight because he was working on a very high voltage installation, and he didn't care to carry his gloves or the glasses. Why? Because that would show that he doesn't know what he's doing if he needs safety gear.
Wow.
So that's a cultural thing where for us, taking care of ourselves, taking care of our team is something that is seen as being weak, not being professional, not being strong. So this is something that we also have to create that awareness about that to help us motivate them to see that it's a plus for them.
Absolutely. I agree. I will take us now to the future. And I've chosen two very specific persons who will be the two last panelists we'll talk before we open up to your questions, of course. When we look at the future, I think I'm going to start with you, Gilbert, and I will close with you, Mr. Ambassador. So you get the closing, which is the best one. Gilbert, we talked a lot about the international community, the programs we're doing with the US, the diaspora. I would like you to close us off on what do you think the responsibility of the private sector in Haiti is to grow our workforce and create opportunities for economic growth.
Oh, okay. I think that, as everybody's been saying on this panel, we each have our forte, okay? Our job as private sector is to create job opportunities for development in general. We cannot do it ourselves, so we need to delegate. We need to have a team. What we talked about as challenges force us to go one step further, which is to actually address the gaps. That's what I think today is missing. I think that as private sector companies, we need to be talking more to, for example, the educational system, the educational providers, maybe establishing partnerships with universities, with technical. I heard about ENFP earlier. I'll tell you honestly, we go through difficult times to find a good technician for industrial electricity, for plumbing, very simple things. And again, because sometimes the needs are not completely understood by the universities that have a teacher who can teach this, so that's what's going to be taught. It doesn't mean that it's necessarily what is needed. I think technology is one of the big sectors.
of players that are involved in creating that economic growth. I think you've heard a lot of solutions, a lot of actions, a lot of success stories. I hope you stayed together through this hour, this 90 minutes of conversation. So I'm going to pass it along to you, Mr. Ambassador, to really take us to the future yourself and think and tell us a little bit of what would be your advice on strategies and collaboration, and of course, how the US government could play an important role into designing the future of the workforce for Haiti.
Let me try to be a little controversial here. So, previous conversations talking about public-private partnerships. When they work well, they are an immense tool. It helps then businesses reduce then political risk. It helps avoid bureaucracy. It helps create opportunities. Business people are the ones that actually generate jobs and generate opportunities. For everything we do in terms of development, things done by the government does not actually create an economy. It is business that creates the economy. Too often the P and P are not what we think. So if the public side is more looking for personal gain, if the private side is not a proposal but a pot de vin, then you end up having corruption. You have the kind of things that tend to close down an economy, that reduce opportunities. Those are the kind of things we continue to look at, and that's then where, whether we look at sanctions, whether we look at trying to build structures so that it is harder to do things illegally, those are part and parcel of the thing. There are many, and even in this room, there are a lot of entrepreneurs that are really trying to create opportunities, but they're a part of the private sector in Haiti that look at their job is to protect their market and not expand markets, not to innovate, not to create new, but just make sure they have no competitors. And that's then ultimately to the detriment of everybody. So trying to create mechanisms that actually allow for competition, allow for innovation, allow for new investors to come into the marketplace is key, and to make sure that governments are working to help facilitate that and not block. US also can be very, very slow, and you want to make sure that an investment respects labor law, it respects the environment, it respects and the safety of everybody, but you're there to help facilitate in the name of the public to create. So it's got to be something where from the international, we're quite aware of what are the internal impediments, whether it's from either the public sector or from the private sector.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. I think this was such a great conversation. I was very challenged with the size of the panel, but I felt like we conveyed the message really well. But I was standing here as your moderator, but really this whole panel was very well organized and prepared by the MEDA and the USA team. So thank you, Claude, Joël, Marie-Renée, and Shanna for really crafting this really well. And we're not just stopping here. This conversation is actually fueling into more action plans and what could we actually do to really create more bridges, create more collaboration, and really be able to contribute to Haiti's growth through its workforce. So thank you all, everybody, and we're now open for questions. We'll take questions just like we did for the previous panel. You can just jump in here. We have a good 20 minutes, so that's great. So you can ask your questions and be able to interact with this massive panel here. Thank you, everyone. All right, is there a microphone?
Thank you. Hello. So I just wanted to first and foremost thank for your insight. I learned so much today. The question that I had, I was really excited to hear about the people side and investing in people. Oftentimes when we think of workforce development, it's focusing on skill and skill development, but the people side can get lost. So my question for you all, as we understand tyranny of the moment and being in crisis mode and limited resources,
How can building social capital really help drive workforce development in Haiti? So really, social capital can foster trust, it can foster social cohesion, and it also bridges across socioeconomic divides. So how can balancing power, mentorship, more investment in people help to drive workforce development in Haiti?
And your question is for? This panel is big. I cannot let them all
I
questions.
will, oh, okay. Thank you. I get the pressure. It's going to probably be three. I would say for Sandra, Joanne, and the ambassador.
All right.
Thank you.
So we'll do one by one. Go. But I would suggest you keep the answers really brief so we can get through all these questions over here. Go, Sandra.
I'm gonna keep it very brief. The social impact aspect of it, the way I see it, is implementing this notion of, I think the ambassador alluded to it, but it's giving back. How do you give back? By going to the schools, by looking at younger employees and upskilling and spending time with them, and really succession planning, but not because you're getting paid for it or because there's a profit, but the notion of doing something that is bigger than just you and seeing the bigger picture and being creative about how do you invest in the next generation by mentoring and upskilling them so they can basically replace you. I think that would be the best
Amazing.
and quickest way.
Thank you.
I would first define what I think you meant by social capital. Social capital being an environment that you trust, an environment that you can evolve with, and an environment that you can count on if you have a problem. If I can put it in perspective, if I live in poverty, my car breaks down, I will not call AA, is that what it is? I will not call AAA, I will call my neighbor. That's my social capital.
Nice.
So it is important, and in a business environment, in an entrepreneurship environment, to build that capital so you have access to a lot of other things. If you don't know something exists, if you don't know an expertise exists, you will drown in that problem if you cannot have access to it. So we do that for our incubator by creating that social capital as a resource that they have access to. And this is where the importance of the collaboration with the Haitian American Chamber of Commerce, or involvement in social impact, or involvement in Impact Investment Forum brings value and brings social capital to the clients that we serve.
That's the only time I will allow 3 people to answer one question. But we'll go with you, Mr. Ambassador.
Okay, as the non-business person, but I'd add then, I think a lot of it, the formal sector in Haiti is extremely small. It's mostly in the informal sector. So a lot of the efforts, whether it's AID, Inter-American Foundation, many of you, it's looking at small and medium businesses. But creating an employee base, even if it's 5 or 6 employees, it makes people feel they're a part of an economy, part of a country. And that leads into our democratic priorities, making sure people feel they are part of a society. Therefore, when you get elections, you get more than 18% voting because they see that there's some linkage between their lives and the government, and that the decisions the government make will have a direct impact on their lives.
Yeah.
So I think that part, the social part, feeling part of the economy is important.
Thank you. Ask your question and address it to one person.
First of all, I wanted to really congratulate you. This was an insightful but also hopeful session. So thank you. My name is Cozy Joseph. By day, I'm a senior executive at Amazon, working for Amazon Web Services. And by night, I'm the chairperson of the Gaskov Clergy Foundation. And through the Gaskov Clergy Foundation, I have been giving back to the south of Haiti for over 30 years. As you know, and my question is to Mr. Ambassador Dennis Hinkins, as you know, the south of Haiti is completely, the economy there is completely destroyed. From that region being completely cut off, not only from Port-au-Prince, but also from the rest of the world. In your intervention, You shared that Washington is finally getting it, that Haiti is a country, it's not just Port-au-Prince, and that USAID is more engaged now in both the North and the South. And we know that the North already has an international airport. You also talk about the importance of international ports and international airports so that the folks in the region can start exporting. My question to you is that the south of Haiti has been working on getting an international airport for the past 13 years, and that region is in dire need of that airport for their economic and the workforce revival. I wanted to hear from you where an international airport that will expand, that will open up the South to the rest of the world, where that falls in the USAID roadmap.
Thank you. Let's go.
And when you're talking volume, I know we have, I think DF's Development Finance Corporation was here. Generally, I mean, we can give technical assistance to a government to figure out then a feasibility. Trade Development Agency can figure out, is there actually a market? Sunrise is no longer here, so people, that's where sometimes policy people want to make something because it looks good, but can you actually make money off it? Previous speaker, expanding the airport in the runway in Jeremy would make great sense, and that's where the public-private partnership, but you have to get around the land tenure issues because there's always going to be disputed. I think that's exactly one of those areas where good PPP works. I know, for instance, I work closely with my Brazilian colleague. They just opened a vocational school in Kai, but I think it took them 2 years to get past the government red tape to actually open, and something for building the kind of technical skills that everybody needs there. So I know in terms of looking at the government, diversification of infrastructure, both north and south, we see whether it's energy infrastructure, shipping infrastructure, wash infrastructure. These are important to have outside, but ultimately these are the kind of investments that become, to set up an actual international airport, that's pretty lengthy. So again, it's one of those things I think we've talked to the government, but ultimately that's where the private sector lead and whether they can get financing from World Bank and others. And I give credit to this government. Every time they're in Washington, they talk to the State Department a little bit, but they spend most of their time at the IMF, the IDB, the World Bank, because that's where they know the big kind of infrastructure development funds come from those institutions.
Interesting.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Joubert, and I'm from Haiti Executive Board. So my question will go first to the ambassador and second to Sandra. I know. Well, yeah. So first
Nobody's
of all,
surprised,
at the
right?
global level, so we know what it takes for you to grow global development human. So I wanted to ask the ambassador how to create a diversified economic development agenda based on long-term and large-scale projects in other parts in Haiti, and then with some urban policy with the UN Habitat to decentralize economic development in Haiti. And the second part of the question, what can we have a professional organization to certify skilled and trained workers in Haiti, just like the way they do it here? If you are a lawyer, if you are like a nurse, you have to be certified to be able to exercise your profession.
That second question was for who? For Sandra. So you want to give the ambassador a little break, Sandra? Maybe start?
If I understand the question correctly, I think he's asking about maybe standards that would be applicable to professionals that practice in higher level functions that are not entry level. So with that in mind, with my understanding, I think that is needed. For example, myself as a lawyer, I don't just go to law school. I also have to pass the bar. Plus, every year I have to maintain at least 12 credits of different things that are, including professionalism as well as ethics. So having that continuous development requirement for professionals, I think, keep them abreast of what's happening in their particular industry and specialization And I would support it. I think it's part of just keeping people. If I graduated from 97, which is the year I graduated law school, the law is significantly different today, especially labor laws that tend to mirror whatever administration is in power. So keeping abreast of what's happening by taking those CLEs definitely help myself as well as other attorneys remain relevant, really. So I would support it. I think it would be a great thing to have in Haiti. I don't know that we're there yet. We're still thinking about upskilling people and getting them, incorporating critical thinking skills and like learning how to drive if you're going to be. There are so many basic functions that need to be addressed. And I'm not policy making, but it's the people with the higher education and whatever they hold to be able to pass these laws in Haiti should consider these requirements as part of how we elevate the skill level of our workforce. And with that, I'll pass it on to you.
For myself, I'd still say I don't think I've ever seen a true economic development strategy for Haiti. I see a survival strategy. Even you look at, the American Chamber of Commerce of Haiti, their number one priority is to survive. Haiti has a lot of opportunity, but a lot of it is you just try to go through the political insecurity just to get to the next day. You see right now the national dialogue, some of it's going to focus on the Constitution, some of it is actually to try to set a vision for the future. And I hope part of that conversation will be, how do you develop the economy? You've got 80% of your exports, 90% of your formal sector, all in the textile industry. And we support Hope Help. We hope that we can get some of those jobs back, but that's too heavy a concentration in one sector. And it's that part of the international trade sector that is most susceptible to moving around. So I'd like to see that diversity. You have at least 3 major mining projects going on right now in the Dominican Republic, where all the operators say, we assume there's more resources than on the Haitian side, but you don't have a modern mining code, you don't have an opportunity. Everybody says, and I see the things, oh, the US wants instability to Haiti so we can take all the riches under the ground. You don't even know what you have. Fisheries, agriculture, trying to figure out what are export markets, how do you diversify? These are all key things that you need then a certain pause so that you can create a strategy. And that's where I think once you have a strategy, that's where international community and even investors, if they know exactly what the opportunities are, if there's a good structured incentive program to bring in investors, that helps that diversification.
Thank you. So I officially close the line after the last man, so I can manage my time. I'm keeping my eyes on the clock with the 3 last questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Me personally, I really appreciate all of things you've been saying about the project for Haiti. They are wonderful. But my question is, we do in the diaspora, we do have a lot of people that are able to do things. In Haiti and every other places, we do have a lot of people willing to invest, willing to do a lot more than we think they can do. But there's one problem, the insecurity. Ambassador, as a representative of the US, because we cannot help ourselves. Obviously, we can't, because it's been going on for a while and nobody can do anything about it. And I truly believe with the US, if they want to really help Haiti, within 24 hours they can. Are you willing to help us about that?
I know I'm on the schedule tomorrow for a kind of broader political insecurity. Again, you've dealt with various Haitian prime ministers, presidents. You really think a call from the ambassador changes policy? It works? No. ultimately, we work, and a lot of what I've been doing and what the U.S. government's been doing throughout this administration, I'm sure we'll do under the next administration, is trying to build Haitian capacity and support on security. We are by far the #1 donor now, both for bilateral support to the Haitian National Police as well as to the MSS. We are the lead on trying to convert this for a more robust mission for the UN. Again, somewhat reflecting changes, I think, even within the diaspora. If I'd have said that last year, there would have been moaning. Oh, you're going to do another UN peacekeeping mission. I think now people see the sophistication, weapons, the wealth that then the gangs bring, that it becomes a major mission. And seeing what US, Canada, and at a lower level other countries are doing is not sufficient. There are Haitian police out there every day, weeks on end, putting their lives at risk, often losing their lives. So we're there supportive, but more to come tomorrow.
Anyone else wants to chime in? No? All right, we'll take another question.
All right, thank you. This has been a great panel. My name is Bruno Surprise. I was born and raised in Haiti, educated in Haiti until I was 15 years old, and been here since 91. I work for Google. I'm a sales engineer, so I work in technology. I've been in technology my whole career. So, question for the ambassador.
Oh, wow, I'm so surprised.
So, ambassador, I try to follow what's going on in Haiti closely because my heart will die there, will always be there. A lot of Haitians blame the United States, France, and Canada for our problems. I happen to believe it's a mix. You know, we do create a lot of our own problems. We have to solve a lot of our own problems. I saw a clip of President Biden once when he was senator, said like if Haiti rose up 100 feet or sunk to the ocean, it wouldn't matter much because of U.S. interests. So I have two questions. What are U.S. interests in Haiti? And number two, what are the top 3 initiatives that the United States is leading to help stabilize the country? Because we do need the help.
Yeah.
We do need the help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. #1 interest is to have a democratic, stable, developing country in our neighborhood for the benefit of that country, for our own security and economic advantages, and for the stability and economic growth of the region. So anything that builds on that. Right now, obviously, well, again, you look at within the Western Hemisphere from AID, it is the biggest beneficiary of resources. We're already $600 million in for the MSS. We're taking the lead on security side. We are by far the largest donor for then building Haitian National Police capacity. I know yesterday there was a discussion and we're seeing change in diaspora position in terms of whether we should engage with the Haitian Armed Forces. Much of that we haven't before, much driven by arguments made by the diaspora in the past that now maybe they're changing their position and they should make that known. So again, it's across the board and it is the good offices. I cannot make a decision for the Haitian government. I can make recommendations on our bilateral relations. We're working hard to make sure that you get a good election coming up. The same mechanism that gave you a good technocratic prime minister, I think, is at play now with the Electoral Commission. There are political influences within that commission, but they balance out. So you, as in the past, you do not have one party controlling the electoral mechanism, which in the past meant, well, you won 80% of the election there. So there is a good opportunity for having a clean slate of candidates that actually have an equal chance of winning. How Haitians choose, nobody will believe it, but we never have candidates. We will sometimes tell the ones that we don't think are good candidates, but in some cases people vote for them anyhow, and we will have to deal with that when it comes up.
Last question. All right. My name is Vladimir Laborde. And Mr. Ambassador, this question is not for you. Okay. So #1, I want to apologize. I didn't catch the whole panel, but my question has to do with everybody that's on there. And something that the ambassador did touch upon.
Keep your mic up.
Something the ambassador did touch upon, which I am really convinced based on my experiences and different roles in Haiti and the United States, is key, paramount. I'll start off with one example. Purchase orders from the United States. purchase orders from the people that you've incubated, that you've accelerated, that you've supported. Moreover, to get purchase orders, that's just one example. Trade missions, I don't consider this to be a trade mission, but trade missions with different chambers, trade missions with different associations. I think that is key. I have a saying when I take people to New Orleans, people don't do business with us because they don't know us. So there's a lot of misconceptions on who we are and how we are. So I think there needs to be a concerted effort on people trying to develop Haiti. We're not going to do it by ourselves. We need new money. We need new skills. So for the panel, in that vein, what and how do you see that in your programs?
Thank you. Anyone can chime in. We have 3 minutes.
Okay. As I said, I'm an entrepreneur in the solar energy sector, and solar energy without financing doesn't work. I came back from Germany in 2006 with my company, and I struggled for 10 years to convince the finance sector in Haiti to invest in solar and invest with our customers. It never worked. We couldn't convince them, and we even at a certain, we were surviving by doing individual projects for the larger multinational that can afford solar. And at the end of these 10 years, we decided, okay, we have to go all in. It's either we were able to convince a financial institution to invest, or we would have to close shop. So we put all the profit that we had from our last project, which was with Heineken Brana, a small amount for what we wanted to do, which approximately $300,000, and we financed our own customers. So we started providing solar as a service and financing our own customers just to show to the banks that it would work. We started that in 2019. We built up a portfolio of 7.5 million with over 30 customers. Till today, we raised $4.5 million in that period, and right now we're closing a transaction with IFC of close to $15 million. Now, all that sounds very logical and very good, but if it wasn't for USA that launched the Haiti Invest program, which was mentioned here, my company wouldn't have reached these investments. Because number one, we didn't know that there were actually funding available, not from government, but from DFIs, development funds. Some of them are even allocated for Haiti where they're looking for projects, but they can't find projects. And we always hear that, and I couldn't understand what that meant. But the problem is companies like ours, we're not aware of what's out there. And the second thing, again, I'm going to talk a bit about culture. You want to do business international, you want to get some funds from DFIs, you have to have audited books. You have to be professional and separate your business than your personal life. So all these things require change, require a different way of doing business to have access to these financing. And we mentioned about these advisory firms, which accompanied us to make these changes over a few years that allowed us to raise all that capital and being able to do these projects. So I think it's both sides. The international community needs to understand what our challenges are, but we also need to open up and say, okay, we need to do business differently. We cannot just keep on saying, oh, this is how business is done in Haiti. We don't have our own physics law. We don't have our own economic law. It's the same for everyone. So if we're not willing to be more open and adjust also, we will not be able to use all these opportunities that are available.
Thank you. And I think we're out of time. So thank you for being such a kind audience, and we are really right on time. So we are going to take this conversation further. So for those of you who are invited to the private event to dive deeper into this conversation and come up with recommendation, you are expected to be in Georgia room 2 and 3 right after this session. And I look forward to continue interacting with you. And thank you all panelists. Tomorrow, I will also be having a panel discussing how stakeholders can get engaged in Haiti for entrepreneurship. So you're all invited. Thank you, NAHP. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, panel. Let's continue moving.
Big round of applause. Please stay seated for 2 seconds, maybe 1 minute. Someone lost a room key. So if you're looking for your room key.
UFM,